agency. I hope you're doing well.
Good, thank you.
Just wondering if you could tell us just kind of, it seemed like negotiations between you and the team were agreed to pretty quickly. Can you kind of just tell us how the free agency process went for you and what ultimately was most appealing about coming back to this Jazz organization?
Well, yeah, going into free agency, obviously it was something I wanted to kind of just weigh the market and um, see what the market would, demand in that sense, and seeing that as we got closer and closer to the day of free agency, you kind of can catch whispers of rumors and things like that, and there wasn't really much going on, but I knew how the Jazz felt. I knew all the intentions of what Ryan and Justin and the whole front office and how badly they wanted to keep this team together, and it was a comfort. It was a comfort zone here. It's somewhere I feel really comfortable. I feel like I can continue to grow, continue to help this team in any way, shape, or form to get to the next level, and essentially run it back. Essentially, have the same team and add some pieces like we did in free agency, and see what we can do.
Next up, Brian Miller, KSL.
Hey, Mike, just how excited are you that Rudy Gay is coming along? And then how much did you play in his decision?
Yeah, once I kind of signed my deal or agreed after the free agency started, Justin and everybody's calling me, telling me to call Rudy and see where he's at, like see where his mind's at, and I became like a recruiter in a sense, um, and Rudy was open to it. Rudy was asked a lot of questions, just trying to get a feel of how he'd be used, the system, Utah as a whole, and our team, and obviously he made the decision to come play with us, and I couldn't be more excited. He's a good friend of mine. Um, our families are close. It's just a really good situation, and I think he can really help us.
Sarah Todd, Deseret News.
Mike, is that role, the recruiter, something that you're comfortable with, something that you've done before?
I've done it a little bit, but kind of not at this capacity. I was like, putting babies down for bed and having to drop them and go take a call because I'm trying to make sure we lock up a guy like Rudy or whoever it may be. So I was really locked in on that, and it was fun. It was cool to be included on that in that whole process. So it definitely is something that I can see myself doing.
Tony Jones, The Athletic.
Mike, in the overall scheme of things, given where you guys want to be, how important is this year coming up for you guys?
I think it's very important. I think it goes to say that we've made improvements each year. I think we've gotten better each year. Um, Last year was a disappointing end to it, but uh, all the strides we've made along the way allow us to come into this season still chasing that championship, that ultimate goal, and something that is truly attainable, something that we can grasp. We're right there. We're knocking on the door, and um, I think with all guys we got coming back, guys we added, and free agency is the team is built for it, and sometimes you just have to go through the ups and downs. You got to go through a little bit of adversity, and it might be in the tone of 1 or 2 years, and it seems like a long time, but sometimes that's what it takes, and hopefully it builds character. It builds a championship team, a championship atmosphere that we can go into this next season.
Andy Larson, Salt Lake Tribune.
Curious, Mike, in a previous interview, you said that kind of you and Rudy Gay share that kind of grit and grind mentality from your 5.5 years together in Memphis. And I'm curious kind of what you think that can add to the culture of the Jazz and kind of, or kind of how that interacts with the culture that the Jazz have already set.
Well, yeah, I think having even more guys who have been through, what Rudy and I have been through as far as the teams we've been on and how we've played and our mentality is just adds to what we're doing here. Obviously the Jazz have been a team that's been defensive minded and tough, and we're just you add another guy who brings another form of grit, another form of having been through the fire, have been through ups and downs, have seen a lot of leadership coming from him. So he'll just make the locker room that much better, and I think a lot of guys' job a lot easier having another guy, another face, another voice who can be so positive for our team.
Now Campbell, UtahJazz.com.
Hey Mike, so you had a pretty epic announcement video. I think hands down, I said that you should get another Oscar for that. So I want to know, as a creator, what was the creation process behind that, and whose idea was to use the Wolf of Wall Street?
Yeah, so I hate to do this, but Donovan Mitchell actually sent me a small clip of Wolf of Wall Street like 3 or 4 days prior to that. And I saw it and I said, you know what? I'm going to flip this. I'm going to figure out how to use this, and I'm going to use it when I announce I'm coming back to the Utah Jazz. And from that point, I hit up Ryan Smith and, everybody else like, yo, when it's time, this is what I want to do, and this is how I want to do it. And we had some help from my social media team, a couple of buddies, and Ryan knows, and Omar, and worked with Beats by Dre. He helped us a little bit, but actually a lot. He did a lot of it, but it was a team effort, and it ended up being really cool. So I was excited about it.
Jeff Rainier, Fox 13.
Yeah, Mike, I'm just wondering, you talked about being a recruiter, you being a free agent, unrestricted free agent for the first time in your career, coming off a great season. I was curious about you, how many people recruited you to come to their team?
Yeah, as it got closer to, the week of free agency, I started getting texts and calls from several players, just trying to, kind of gauge the temperature of where I was at, what my mind was on, and if I was willing to leave or if I'm, just gone and looking to move on somewhere else. So got a handful of calls from different players, and, obviously I told them I didn't know what I was doing, and but in my mind I was already kind of leaning towards Utah, and it was just a better situation for the family and I. So it was a cool little process.
Jim Conlon, RCB Radio out of Ireland.
Hi, Mike. Mike, you mentioned about the Utah Jazz getting stronger this off-season as well in terms of recruitment. How important is that coming back to a team knowing that they're adding to what wasn't a successful season last year, given that Lakers have torn up the books adding Westbrook, given that Drummond's gone to Philly, Lowry gone to Miami, all the big contenders have made massive moves this off-season. So how important is it for the Jazz to keep striving forwards and getting stronger?
Well, I think it's very important. I think it says a lot about what Ryan, Justin, whole management, our staff as a whole. The mindset is to chase this championship now, to try to win now, and in order to do that, you have to be willing to make moves. You have to be willing to continue to be fluid and adjust, even as the season goes on. You kind of have to do whatever it takes to give yourself the best opportunity to win. And seeing as other teams are doing the same thing, and I know that our team has been, up on the cap and stuff like that, and over the cap, and for us to still be making moves and still trying to make improvements in every area and facet, whether that's on or off the court, it's important that that they're showing that their willingness to win.
All up from Sarah Todd.
Mike, you said you were getting texts from players from other teams, but you mentioned Donovan sending the Wolf of Wall Street clip. Were you hearing from guys from the Utah Jazz like, hey man, make up your mind, or telling you that they wanted you to stick around?
Yeah, quite often. Joe Ingles was hitting me up from Tokyo, and he was almost threatening me. I was a little worried for my life there, but Obviously Royce and Don and JC, everybody, we've all kind of kept in contact anyway. We're in a group chat as it is, so we talk quite often. But they let me kind of go through the process, but at the same time, when push came to shove, they were sitting there like, all right, you coming back or what? Like we need to get this thing going. So they definitely were in my corner and pulling me back to Utah.
Ben Anderson, KSLSports.com.
Mike, how's your hamstring since the season ended, and kind of what's your plan for the summer with it?
Yeah, the hammy has been good. It's been really good. I've been training real hard and been going through a really good program to try to, hopefully knock out these issues that have been creeping up in the last few years. And as far as I guess what I've been doing is just a lot of like I said, a lot of strength, a lot of yoga, a lot of stretching, a lot of things I've kind of taken a liking to that I haven't really done or added to my regiment, but it's been good, and I'm excited about the year. I really am. I think it's going to be a good, healthy one, and it's going to continue to do my part and make sure I do everything under the sun to have my body in position to be at its peak.
Next up, follow-up from Andy Larson.
Just Mike, in general, what have you been doing this off season, I guess, besides that, and how much have you been able to stay in Salt Lake or been in Salt Lake, and kind of what's your kind of timeline on that, I guess?
Yeah, I've been in Columbus, Ohio most of the summer. A lot of family time, been around the kids, and haven't really traveled much up until this week. I went to Salt Lake for a few days, and now I'm in Vegas. So I'm about to watch a little bit of the summer league and work out with some of the guys. So it's been pretty mild, not much going on, and just been training and hanging out and enjoying the time while we have it.
All right, last question is going to be a follow-up from Eric Walden.
Mike, obviously there's the ties there between you and Rudy, but what do you know about the other new guys who the team has added this year, and guys like Hassan and Eric?
Yeah, I know Eric just through Donovan, basically. He's obviously they're really close, and we've crossed paths many times, and we got to play against him and know what kind of player and what he brings, and his versatility as a player and ability to guard, and just his physical nature is going to be important for our team. And Hassan actually, played on our training camp and preseason with the Grizzlies early on in his career when he was probably a rookie. So got to meet him a long time ago. So I know him pretty well, and just seeing him now as a 31-year-old, grown up, I just know what he's capable of doing, and his ceiling is still really high. We're going to try to get as much out of him as we can and make him into the best player that he can be for this team. And he can definitely be a game changer for our team.